Non-smoker for life. 1. Addiction habits. Intelligent enough to know how smoking is harmful to our health and the health of those around us, yet we continue to light up yet addiction, or is it a habit addiction? Think about what happens to you when you light up with a cigarette. You can solve the world's problem. Puffing on a cigarette one seemed to take on a complete with the various tasks. Protects cigarette in your hand or mouth because of you believe with the ability of thinking clearly. Inhaling smoke with maybe overall disposition improve with the smoking. Angry, lighting up and seek what happens. Your humor more likely than will return chances or forget what you were so angry and or at least you not to be as mad. If you're depressed about something, you think a cigarette will help ease the pain, help you think clearer. Cigarettes also allow you to take time out from daily grind. While puffing away, you don't really have to worry about generating sales reports, do you? It could wait until you put out that butt right. Wrong. These pressures, everyday life is still with you, regardless of smoking one cigarette or 10 packs in a week's time. Mental health professionals have a yardstick that they use to determine an individual addicted psychoactive substance like nicotine. Objective measures, non-subjective difference. Objective studies, the evidence clearly measurable. Subjective studies, evidence cannot be clearly measured. Instead of the reports, thoughts, feelings, and emotions, it would seem that according to the number of government private studies, smoking is an addiction, providing chemical high, not actual smoking that causes addiction, but nicotine contained within the cigarette. Here's how they can determine yourself if you're addicted to nicotine. If you say yes, at least 3 of the following statements you brought the farm, so to speak. If you start smoking substantially more now when you started, if you have persistent desire to cigarette or have had one or more unsuccessful efforts to cut down or quit smoking, if you spend a lot of time necessary to get nicotine into your system, chain smoking, if you have to give up social events to quit your one-time favorite sport because smoking isn't allowed, if you keep smoking even though you know it's bad for your health and health of those around you, if your tolerance level is way up, in other words, it takes cigarettes to achieve desired feeling. If you smoke a cigarette to avoid unpleasantness of quitting and withdrawal. Further illustrate addiction causes nicotine. Former U.S. Surgeon General C. Everett Koop released the report in 1988, Health Consequences of Smoking Nicotine Addiction. Among others, it came right out instead of the drug of cigarettes, nicotine is addicting. The report said pharmacological behavior process of determining tobacco addiction, similar to the determining addiction drugs and heroin, cocaine. Another Surgeon General report of smoking published in 1986 gave a chilling account of the effects of the nicotine addiction. These levels of nicotine substantial sense of the relative of the potency of the nicotine 5 to 10 times greater than that of the cocaine in producing discriminating subjective effects of 1 to 2 milligrams of nicotine inadvertently orally inhaled produce reliable behavior psychological effects. Simply stated, the ability of nicotine cause nicotine change emotion, feelings, behavior is 5 to 10 times greater than that of cocaine. The more addiction portion of smoking, you've probably read about it. The newspaper, there's a habit side of smoking. Statistic and ponder. If you're a pack-a-day smoker, you puffed over 75,000 times over the past year. Certainly, you shouldn't be because you've practiced that on something you ought to be pretty good at by now. We aim to do it's very helpful change between behavior. Habits with a habit department behavior is one of the learned over time. Actually, it's both most psychologicalistic agreements. Habit, something learned over time. Heard of the Pavlov's dog, study done with the Russian psychologist Ivan Pavlov. Late 1880s, unlearned relative automatic reflex associated digestion. With the upshot of the study, he saw the dog sometimes salivated with the anticipating getting a food. He believed the action to be learned or conditioned one. In other words, if the dog saw food, they started salivating. He would wonder if there would have done other ways with the dog conditioned salivate, tried a variety of things, ringing a bell, turning metronome. As turned out, with the dogs over the period of time where conditional learned salivate number to singles. Well, there are some things in life that conditional you to smoke. The Pavlov's bell automatically rings. You pick up the cigarette whenever the stress situation because you've learned the smoking behavior condition. Quit strip of the nicotine for the moment. It automatically rings where you first arrive at the morning. The cup of coffee with the telephone rings and possibility care of the telephone conservation without cigarette. The bell continues to ring almost non-stop through the day of virtually any activity when you engage. Just take an aspirin and alleviate the headache, and you ingest the nicotine whenever your situation goes into a little easier. Let's explore further. Co-author Alexander had smoked almost one pack of cigarettes a day for 20 years. I've also been a softball player for as long as I can remember. I got a habit of making sure that I got one last cigarette in before the first pitch of the game. I thought it helped move the concentration could tune out with the cheers of the team. The last smoke before the game, I started to help to remember who hits the ball down the third baseline, who tried to hit between me and the shortstop. Then I played with a hinge of if I had to smoke before it, take time to feel stepping into the batter's box. I knew the fact of the cigarette before it was my time to hit. I am able to hit with the exclusive home run once that I have been trying to hit for the past 25 years. I don't know. I do know it was more alert in the game, and I puffed before the first pitch. My anxiety level about my decline field previously going older went away, and comfortably with the fact I've been able to keep fit and trim because I was a smoker, and a win or lose, the ball game was that which was enjoyable after the last out of the record because I could light up again. Funny, all of the above, that may be different contexts, all were smokers that have surveyed on the subject. Chapter 2, Myths of Quitting.